the Financial Times published an extremely controversial editorial where it basically said that Peruvian President Pedro Castillo should get sacked from the South American nation. In this article, which is titled "Peru Deserves a Fresh Political Start," the media outlet essentially explained that the left-wing leader has shown inefficiency and inability to govern. Moreover, the Financial Times explained that the government of Pedro Castillo has been facing essentially all types of crises that he hasn't been able to solve properly over the last few months since he got to power. On the other hand, the article, the editorial from the Financial Times finished with this quote. I'm quoting here. "The time has come for legislators to put the national interest first and give voters a fresh opportunity to choose a leader capable of tackling their country's pressing problems." Of course, this situation raised a lot of controversy in the Andean country, given the fact that many members of the government and many supporters of Pedro Castillo essentially claimed that this editorial from the Financial Times was nothing more than a call for a coup, essentially. A call from a foreign media outlet for a coup to be executed in this South American nation. On the other hand, many other members of the Peruvian political landscape, members of the Peruvian opposition, essentially claimed that what the Financial Times was saying in this editorial was essentially the feeling among the vast majority of Peruvians right now. But, I mean, without taking a particular position on whether the Castillo supporters or the opposition have a point, because both of them have a point, that is an undeniable fact, especially if we take into consideration that the Financial Times haven't published this type of editorials in many other similar situations in other Latin American countries, whether we're talking about a right-wing leader or a left-wing leader. But despite this situation, it is an undeniable fact that Peru right now is a disaster. Nevertheless, it is worth noticing that Peru has been dealing with this total mayhem way before Pedro Castillo. The political crisis that this country has been dealing with essentially started a couple of years ago, to the point that we actually watch a lot of presidents getting sacked in a pretty short period of time. And in fact, we need to remember the presidential election in Peru. We need to remember the presidential election because the presidential election in this South American nation was the latest example of how this country was falling into a void, because we need to remember that this presidential election was between two extremists. We're talking about Pedro Castillo, who eventually became the winner of this political event. And we need to remember that his opponent was right-wing extremist, radical right-winger Keiko Fujimori, who is the daughter of the former Peruvian dictator Alberto Fujimori. So this situation that Peru is facing right now is just another episode of the political crisis that this country has been experiencing over the last few years. However, it is also an undeniable fact that this editorial from the Financial Times is quite surprising, especially because what I just said, in many other similar situations here in Latin America, this media outlet didn't publish something similar to this pretty controversial editorial. Reporting from Medellin, Colombia, Luis Orozco, Newsweek.